Get ready, because the Nintendo Switch 2 will unleash the revisionist history when it comes to content creators and fans over social media, and we're going to talk about that right now. But before we get into it, what's good everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my Nintendo Switch RPG news and live streams first. Now let's go ahead and jump right into this, because I'm already seeing quite a number of different things, which I've talked about a little bit before online. I'm seeing videos of disappointing Nintendo Switch 2 news with fake news from Activision, and people already jumping on the power boat, and oh my gosh, if it's not as strong as a PS5 and an Xbox Series combined and cost somehow $300, that this system's going to fail. I'm already seeing comments from people saying that the Nintendo Switch 2 needs to have every single third party right there at launch and at the beginning, otherwise no one's going to buy this system. Heck, I'm even seeing people trying to actually feed to their audience that the reason why that the Nintendo Switch was as successful as it was because of major third-party support, the big developers that put out stuff like Skyrim and all that, and somehow that was the major reason why the Nintendo Switch was successful. In my own analysis, the highest selling games are usually most responsible for a system doing well, or a group or collective of games that help bridge the gaps are part of the reason. So that would mean Nintendo's first party, because those are by far the best selling: Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Animal Crossing, Super Smash Bros., The Legend of Zelda. These are the type of games that actually move the system, along with Pokemon and many others, and then to a smaller degree, some of their other RPGs like Xenoblade or Fire Emblem and things like that, and the third parties and indies. That's usually the hierarchy of how things go. But no, you'll have crazy revisionists with the Nintendo Switch 2 coming around the corner trying to tell you otherwise while providing no actual evidence, data, or proof for their point. Now, the new thing that I'm seeing here is a lot of terrible opinions of people trying to revise actually what happened between Nintendo's failure of the Wii U, bridged to the Wii that was successful, then to the Nintendo Switch, and now to the Nintendo Switch 2. So the Nintendo Switch 2 is bringing about some of these opinions, and one that I want to talk about, and I've actually seen a couple of different places said in various different ways, is this idea that if Nintendo doesn't launch some type of more powerful system right now at this point, they're going to be in trouble going forward. So, I mean, I'm not sure if people aren't seeing the actual rumors that are out there, but apparently if Nintendo doesn't launch something right now at this point, they're going to be in so much problems because the sales are slowing down or whatever the case is. So one of the comments that I saw was in response to one of these tweets that are about one of these comments, like these opinions, like what opinions on this would have you feeling this type of way. And somebody said that it's already been too long when it comes to, we need a more powerful system. That's completely fine. But the next is the revisionist history when it comes down to it. By the time that the Wii U came out, no one cared about the Wii anymore, hurting its sales. I can see the same thing happening with the Nintendo Switch successor, which this right here, there's many different areas and problems with this thought process. And once again, I've seen that statement said in various different ways, so I'm not saying any one in particular person, but I did want to get into it. So let's talk a little bit about this, because let's go over the actual history. So the Nintendo Wii sales started dying around 2009, late 2010. It started getting outsold pretty handily by the other systems on the market, the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. And by the end of 2010, Nintendo had already pretty much gotten plans ready to announce the Nintendo Wii U, the successor of it. So that's 3 to 4 years after the system launched. Now, if you look at the Nintendo Switch and we're comparing it to the Nintendo Switch successor, the Nintendo Switch has already blown away the Wii in sales. Wii's total sales are at 101 million. The Nintendo Switch is at 130 million in a good amount of time. So it's already blown past that. But the Nintendo Switch is still actually the sales market leader in many different regions, like Japan, for example. Or if it's not in first place, it's in second place, outselling the newer system, the Xbox Series. So it still sells incredibly well, and Nintendo's software still sells incredibly well. Using the Wii as a comparison is a bit revisionist, and the reason why I say that is because Nintendo Wii software wasn't doing anywhere near the numbers that Nintendo Switch software is doing. Let's give you an example. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, that sold what, 3 to 4 million units on the Nintendo Wii late in its life. Tears of the Kingdom sold 18 million units plus in a month and a half, literally quadrupling the sales plus of Skyward Sword, a late Zelda game. Super Mario Galaxy 2 didn't sell anywhere near what Super Mario Galaxy sold. We have Super Mario Bros. Wonder coming out later in the year, and I'm pretty sure it's going to match or outsell what New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe did on the Nintendo Switch. So the main difference here, and why I call the comparison off and Revisionist, which I've seen many people do, is that they're trying to compare what happened late in the life of the Wii to the Nintendo Switch, but that's not happened yet. Whether it's hardware sales or whether it's software sales, both of those have not happened. So that's a revisionist history in my opinion, or you're not actually comparing the numbers and telling the full story. Now, are Nintendo Switch sales going down from where it was? Absolutely. Its peak in 2019, 2020, 2021, that was its peak. The sales were at its highest, but to sit there and act like it was anywhere near the Wii is ridiculous. It's just not that. It's selling way better than what the Wii was 3 to 4 years into its life. And that's the reason why the Nintendo Switch has outsold the Wii pretty handily at this point by 30 million units plus and continuing to go here, and will obviously outsell it by way more than that when it's all said and done. Now, this whole thing about this could happen, so the doom or the fear mongering, right? This could happen to the Nintendo Switch successor because they're waiting so long is ridiculous. You have to also realize what happened to the Wii U. The Wii U had terrible marketing, absolutely terrible marketing. It's not that people didn't remember about it, it's that the marketing was terrible. And the games, the launch titles, that is the biggest thing. When you're talking about a new system, you need those big launch titles to get people talking about your product. And New Super Mario Bros. U and Nintendo Land didn't do the same thing that The Legend of Zelda, Twilight Princess, and Wii Sports did. Now with the next Nintendo Switch, they're gonna have to have those big titles. They're gonna have to have that big 3D Mario or that big Mario Kart game, and they're gonna have that. But another major factor here that a lot of these people aren't really including, which they should, is the fact that Nintendo still had a separate home console and portable division. So when games like Pokemon are launching, well, if you want to play the newest and greatest Pokemon game, you can't play it on your shiny new $300 Nintendo Wii U system or $350 Nintendo Wii U system. You have to play that on the Nintendo 3DS. If you want to play Fire Emblem, you have to play that on the Nintendo 3DS. If you want to play a big new Animal Crossing game, you're going to be playing that on the Nintendo 3DS, not the Wii U. In that market, that was the biggest, I would say, thing that Nintendo did not account for. Same thing happened with Sony as well with the PlayStation Vita. A lot of the big games going to the console, not going to the portable. With the Nintendo Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS, a lot of the big games that people buy the system for was going to Nintendo 3DS. The Wii U had to deal with that. It had to deal with droughts as Nintendo was trying to juggle two separate ecosystems with different types of games, different development atmospheres, different budgets and everything, and they just couldn't keep up, which is exactly the reason why they combined their home console and their portable. Once they did that, it eliminated the drought situation. It eliminated, oh my gosh, I'm only going to be able to buy this Animal Crossing game or this Fire Emblem game or this Pokemon game on the portable, and it's going to be something completely different or not at all on the home console. You have all of that on one system. And as we've seen in the past with Nintendo, when they have all of their games on their portables or on one system, it does incredibly well. Look at the Game Boy, look at the Game Boy Advance, look at the Nintendo DS, look at the Nintendo 3DS. All of those systems sold well more than 70 million units, well more than 70 million units, and have never failed when it comes to a main portable system having everything. The Nintendo Switch is now the best of both, of what they do with the console and what they do with the portables combined, and that was the main reason, along with the big launch games like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, better marketing, better message. That was the reason why that the Nintendo Switch was successful, and that's the reason why the Nintendo Switch has continued to be relevant even up until this point when the Wii died out, because the DS was still getting games, because it wasn't getting as high quality things. It just wasn't as good, and the marketing wasn't as good in terms of what Nintendo's doing now at this point compared to then. When you talk about Nintendo, when you talk about what happened, especially when it comes to sales, you need to lay out the whole picture instead of picking and choosing what you think is important, because all of it is important. Now, going to the Nintendo Switch successor, it's going to have a big Zelda game. It's going to have a big 3D Mario. It's going to have a big Animal Crossing. It's going to have all of the games that are the traditional system sellers that no system in Nintendo history has ever failed when they've gotten the mainline games all on that one platform. I don't see that happening here at all, and I don't see where anybody could even say that when it comes down to it. Now, is there always a chance that it could happen? Sure. There's always a chance that it could happen, but based off of the history and what Nintendo's done in the past and what's considered a system seller and how systems sell, I think these kind of power takes and stuff like that are ridiculous, especially at this point where portability has been shown to sell incredibly well. Nintendo's shown that even with the system that is weaker than the competition on the market, you have the Game Boy outselling many other systems. You had the Nintendo 3DS outselling the Xbox One X. You had the Nintendo DS outselling every other system in the history of systems, with the exception of the PlayStation 2, and the PS2 wasn't even the strongest in its generation that came out. So when people are saying Nintendo has to have something way more powerful to put it out now, or there's going to be problems or something, it's like, no, what they have to have is a great marketing campaign. They have to have the games that are ready. They have to have the big system sellers. They have to have the impactful titles. Those are the most important thing when it comes to how a system sells in the market, not the perception of what people think power will be, because history has already shown that people will go out there and buy 120 million units plus of a 4-bit Game Boy if the games are dope. And that's continued all the way up until this point. Nintendo's always had weaker stuff. And at this point with the Nintendo Switch and what they're doing with Nvidia and all that, it's going to be a much more capable system. It's not going to be like PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series, but it's going to be much more capable than what the Nintendo Switch was, and the games are going to be great. Be on the lookout for people unleashing the revisionist history with the Nintendo Switch 2 coming out. And don't worry, we'll be right here to actually say what happened. So what do you guys think about this so far? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.